To replace the sound PCB, the first thing we need to do is power off the chair, then unplug it. Next, we need to open the levers on the inline connector and remove the wiring from both sides. If you're working on the chair that's connected to a kiosk system, remove the kiosk cable harness from the cable guide, as well as the cable from the main PCB. Next, we'll use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 3 screws that secure the rear shroud to the chair. Then we can slide the shroud backward and then tip it over, resting it on the floor next to the chair. Okay, next we'll use the Phillips head screwdriver again to remove the 3 screws that secure the PCB cover. And we can remove that cover. You'll need to pull it firmly at the rear as there are tabs installed over slots that have a rather secure connection. Next, we can disconnect the connectors from the sound PCB, including the remote control connector that faces the back. Then we'll use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 4 screws that secure the PCB to the tray. And we can remove the PCB from the chair. To install the new PCB, the first thing we're going to do is reattach that remote control connector to the back of the PCB. It's important to note the orientation of the pins with the notch at the top. Make sure that's firmly connected. And then we can replace the 4 screws to secure the PCB to the tray. Okay, then we can reconnect all of the connectors. Okay, now we're ready to replace the PCB cover. Note the tabs in the rear of the PCB area. You need to install the slots on the PCB tray over those tabs and push down firmly to secure it. Use your hands to make sure that the slots are installed successfully over those tabs. The screw holes will then be aligned, and you can replace the 3 screws to secure the cover. Okay, next we need to remove the 9 screws that secure the plastic panel to the underside of the shroud. Then we can twist the ends of that remotely controlled system cable and feed it through the hole we drilled in the rear of the shroud. Next, we're going to install a zip tie temporarily on the casing just on the outside of the shroud, just to keep that wiring from falling back into the shroud while we're reinstalling the shroud on the chair. Okay, then we can replace that black plastic panel and the 9 screws to secure it. Okay, then we can flip that shroud back over carefully into position, putting as little strain on that cable as possible, and slide it into position. Now it's important that the edges of the shroud are installed between the black plastic side panels and the guides. In this case, it is not, so you can see he had to move the shroud over to the outside of the guide, so it's installed between the guide and the side panel. Okay, once the shroud's installed properly, we can replace the 3 screws to secure it. Then we can use a wire cutter to cut that temporary zip tie carefully off of the cable. Twist the ends of the wires. Then we'll install them into the inline connector. If the chair is connected to a T-Max system, it doesn't matter which slot each wire goes into. If it's connected to a kiosk system, then we need the positive wire on the right and the negative on the left, or the blue wire on the right and the green wire on the left. Once the wiring's inserted all the way, you can close the orange levers to secure it. Okay, if you're working on a system that has a kiosk harness, you can place the kiosk harness into the cable guide. And then we can install the wiring into the other side of the inline connector. Again, with the kiosk system, the positive wire needs to be on the right and the negative on the left. Okay, then we can plug in the chair, power it on, and we're done.